I wasn't supposed to be here. Statistics said I should have failed. LeBron James spoke those words years after the world had already crowned him a king. But long before the banners, the records, and the spotlight of an entire nation, he was simply a boy trying to outrun the chaos that shaped him. America knows him as the king, a symbol of power, longevity, and impossible expectations. To millions, he represents greatness made inevitable, a destiny written before he even reached adulthood. But the public rarely sees what fame tries so hard to hide, because behind the poise, behind the victories, behind the man who carried cities on his shoulders, lies a truth he never chose, a pressure he never asked to inherit. A life marked not just by triumph, but by the quiet ache of a childhood built on instability and the crushing demands of a nation that decided he must be perfect. LeBron James rose higher than anyone imagined, but every rise casts a shadow. And at 39, the untold tragedy of LeBron James is far more human and far more heartbreaking than the world has ever been willing to admit. LeBron Raymond James was born on December 30th, 1984 in Akron, Ohio, a city of cracked sidewalks, dim streetlights, and dreams that rarely survived long enough to take shape. His mother, Gloria James, was just 16 when she gave birth to him. There was no father in the picture, no steady income, no certainty of tomorrow. What they had was a rented room, a few plastic bags of clothing, and a fragile hope that life would eventually show them mercy. His childhood was defined by movement, not the joyful kind, but the kind driven by eviction notices, unpaid bills, and desperate attempts to outrun instability. By the time he reached third grade, LeBron had already lived in more than 10 different apartments. The smell of damp walls, the cold draft seeping through broken windows, the restless nights filled with sirens and shouting from the street. These became the soundtrack of his early years. He wasn't thinking about basketball then. He was thinking about survival. Gloria, doing everything she could, knew the neighborhood was tightening its grip. Crime, violence, gangs, dangers that lurked just outside their front door. And in a moment of heartbreaking clarity, she made a choice no mother ever wants to make. She sent her son to live with someone else, hoping he would find the stability she could not yet provide. That someone else was Frank Walker, a local youth coach who saw something unusual in the quiet boy with watchful eyes. In the Walker home, LeBron had things he had never known before: a real bed, a predictable routine, dinners at the same table every night. And there, at the age of 9, he picked up a basketball for the first time. The sound of the ball hitting the hardwood floor was unlike anything he had ever heard: steady, clean, hopeful. For the first time, something in LeBron's life stayed consistent. Something made sense. And long before the world called him king, LeBron learned his first true lesson. Chaos can break a child, but it can also forge a strength that nothing else can touch. At St. Vincent St. Mary, LeBron didn't just play basketball. He transformed every gym he stepped into. As a freshman, his vision and control made him look like he belonged to a different world, one already waiting for him. By sophomore year, national scouts filled the bleachers and ESPN broadcasted his games. He was still just a teenager, yet already a phenomenon. Then came the Sports Illustrated cover, The Chosen One. At 17, he wasn't just talented, he was a national expectation. Overnight, he lost the simple freedom of being young. Crowds chased him, cameras followed him, and every move became part of a story larger than he could understand. In 2003, he walked onto the NBA draft stage as Cleveland's #1 pick. The city saw him as salvation. The league saw him as the future. The pressure became a companion he could never shake. He broke records immediately, filled arenas, and carried the Cavs toward relevance. But with every rising step, whispers of doubt followed, hinting that success this early would come with a price he hadn't yet paid. And fate was only beginning to write the harder chapters. Fame gave LeBron everything except peace. Cleveland demanded a savior. The league demanded transcendence. And beneath all of it, the young man from Akron began losing the joy that once made him pick up a basketball. Playoff failures carved deep wounds. Critics called him soft, questioned his character, analyzed him like a specimen. By 2010, after 7 seasons, he needed a new beginning. But the world didn't see a man choosing growth. It saw betrayal. The decision turned him into a villain overnight. Jersey burnings, outrage, headlines sharper than knives. Alone in Miami, he felt the weight of every expectation collapsing onto him. Then came the 2011 finals. Under the brightest lights, he stumbled. The world mocked him brutally. And in that harsh silence afterward, LeBron confronted the fear he'd carried since childhood, the fear of never being enough. This was the moment when the noise outside drowned his own voice. His lowest point became the turning point, the place where something in him finally broke open. After 2011, LeBron stepped into a quieter world, one that forced him to look inward. Early mornings in an empty gym became his therapy. He didn't train to win back approval, he trained to rediscover himself. He stripped his game down, rebuilt his confidence, and learned to breathe again. At home, Savannah and his children grounded him. With them, he wasn't a superstar or a headline. He was simply a man finding balance. He admitted later that he had spent years chasing applause, only to realize it offered nothing lasting. He stopped chasing applause and started listening to silence. That silence transformed him. The next season, he played freer, stronger, more certain. And when he won his first championship, the emotion was deeper than victory. It was healing. Redemption wasn't a trophy. It was the return to the boy who once found safety in the sound of a bouncing ball. LeBron's legacy extends far beyond titles. He reshaped the NBA by claiming his own agency, proving players could control their destinies. He used his voice to address issues larger than basketball, refusing to detach himself from the world beyond the court. In Akron, the I Promise School stands as his most personal gift, a promise of stability to children who, like him, needed a chance. On the court, he redefined longevity and adaptation. His greatness wasn't just physical dominance, it was his ability to evolve through every stage of his career. His story reveals a truth often forgotten. Legends are not forged by perfection, but by resilience. And today, LeBron James remains a reminder that even the brightest lights may flicker, but they never truly fade. If you've followed LeBron James through every rise and every fall, then you know his story is more than a basketball journey. It is a testament to what resilience can look like when it grows in the shadows of expectation. His triumphs are extraordinary, but it is his humanity, the fear, the doubt, the courage to begin again, that lingers long after the final buzzer. So now we ask you, which part of LeBron's story stays with you the most? The boy who searched for stability, the young man who carried a city, or the legend who learned to rise after breaking? Share your thoughts below, because stories like his remind us that behind every icon stands a fragile heart, and behind every legacy, a human being who fought to be understood.